Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie Podcast. We are the movie podcast that makes every Monday a fun day as we get together and we talk movies. But of course, we have a point here at the United States of a Movie. We are the podcast that is trying to find one movie to define each state in these United States. This week, we are stopping at the biggest state in the Union, Texas. No, it's not Texas. Sorry, Texas. You're wrong. It's Alaska. Now, last time around, we ended up with a Chris Nolan movie, a banger, honestly, a banger. Kind of an outlier with Chris Nolan movies. It was Insomnia, a remake of like a Norwegian movie. It does have some sort of dark Robin Williams that we liked because we were talking about Massachusetts last week. But before we get to the movies that we are bringing to the table, one of which I may want to start a podcast about. Let's introduce my amazing co-host. First of all, Ryan Sander, buddy, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be here, and we picked some bangers this week, I gotta say, and one definitely overshadowed the other, as they often do.
Yeah, I'm still, my whole week has been dedicated to thinking about this movie that initially, man, oh man, did I dismiss. But before we get to that, as always, sitting in the middle of his very own video store in the center of Los Angeles, California, Will Hush, buddy, welcome back to the show.
Great, but before I start, I need shoes. Where are my shoes?
No shoes.
I need shoes.
I need my shoes.
I need shoes. We're just gonna be saying that for the next 12 hours.
Man, yeah, and you are not wrong because we got two movies that could not be more dissimilar, while at the same time being set in Alaska. One, a David E. Kelly written movie starring Russell Crowe. David E. Kelly being like every single courtroom comedy drama you've seen on television in the early noughties into the 2010s, be it Ally McBeal, Boston Public, all this kind of stuff, these David E. Kellys. And then the other one, a 1985 Runaway Train canon film that I assumed was going to be some ridiculous, explosive, stupid, just a explodey bang pow movie that ended up being directed by a Soviet film director from a screenplay written by Akira Kurosawa that in some unconventional way ends up with a Shakespearean Richard III quote, taking us out to the credits to the point that I'm flabbergasted by this movie. Honestly,
is this cinema?
Yeah. I like immediately I texted a friend of the pod, huge movie fan, Carrie Byron, and the way I described it was, wow, this is the best train-based Soviet-style Japanese art house Shakespearean action movie I've seen this week. Because good God.
That's on the poster too.
Yeah. and the thing is, when you get into about this movie is quite legendary in so many ways. And honestly, guys, I just can't wait to talk about it. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it until Will, you'd mentioned it. You pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah, because I was looking to get like a kind of a head start a couple weeks ago. I was like, well, I was at the video store that's behind me, and I was like, what are Alaska movies? Let me look it up. And I looked up, and Runaway Train came up, and I was like, I haven't heard of this. And I was just scrolling, and I was asking the lady behind the counter. I was like, hey, do you guys have this in? And some other customer heard me, and he goes, oh, that movie was written by Akira Kurosawa. And I'm looking at the cast list, Eric Roberts and John Voight. I'm like, what? So
and Rebecca De Mornay.
Yeah.
And Rebecca De Mornay, yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll have to check it out. And this movie has everything. It has runaway trains, it has Danny Trejo,
Tiny Lister,
tons of violence. It's crazy. This is like one of the nuttiest things I've seen in a long time.
It's like, and we'll talk about it, but it's a really, really great movie wrapped in a really, really shitty movie.
It's exactly,
yeah,
exactly
crazy.
Right. That's what is so so confounding about it. Like the way I described it to Zen, to Mrs. was like, it's almost like, well, you know, it makes sense in a way, but it's like the actors and the director didn't speak the same language. Like the director didn't understand English, or
Yep.
like you took all of their dialogue, put it into Google Translate into Russian, and then translated it back to English.
Yeah.
And then what's bonkers to me is the credit and the nominations and stuff that this movie has got. But
It's
I am
wild.
going to right now
Yeah.
press pause because we
Yeah.
are going to spend 6 minutes talking about the other movie so that we can talk.
Maybe
fair.
we really stretch.
I'm glad I watched them in that order. I'm glad I watched
Yeah.
Mystery Alaska first, and then.
Well, I did it the other way.
No
around.
kidding.
Oh, you're,
Oh,
you're
yikes.
you're dumb. You fucking hillbilly.
So
Yeah, I think I watched Mystery Alaska like because it turned out to be like the perfect Sunday afternoon, like
yeah,
nothing.
zero
Mhm.
stakes,
Like,
zero
nothing.
anything. Just it's a movie. And
Zero
it's-
stakes. It's the Saturday game they're all playing.
It's the
Right.
Saturday
Come
game.
on.
The thing is, and
Or
I'm gonna,
Sunday game. Was it Saturday or
it's
Sunday?
no, the
I don't
Saturday
even
game.
care.
You're right. It's the
Yeah.
Saturday game.
Who gives
No,
a
but
shit?
you know, you're exactly right, Will. Is that I'm going to give it credit for being a good movie that I don't give a shit about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like,
a great way to put it. Yeah.
It's like it's fine, but put it on and
is.
you're going to watch it. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, fuck it. And I'm like, oh look, it's Hank Azaria and it's Russell Crowe. And
I
it's like,
felt-
oh, it's a movie.
I felt nothing watching this movie, which is
Yeah.
crazy because usually I'll like. It's one thing for me to like really dislike something, which happens quite a bit. Like, most of the time, I'd say. If you're new to this podcast,
I hate everything.
Spoiler alert.
If it's not a Terrifier, he's out.
No, that's right. No Terrifiers, no women being cleaved in half. Taint
Click.
first, as I said. Yeah, this movie was just like, yeah, it's a movie.
It's a movie it's honestly it's a high budget television episode that goes for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
a cool premise, and I'll tell you what bothers me about it only is that it's Rudy. It's name any sort of just fun movie, right? And all the pieces of that. This is how I describe the two movies. Just before I started doing the podcast, I was downstairs, kids downstairs, and I was like, I described Mystery Alaska as a movie where all the pieces are there, and it just doesn't come together. And I was like, and Runaway Train is a movie where none of the pieces are there. And somehow by the end of it, it's all fucking come together. And I cannot stop thinking about this
Right.
movie. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the only way to put it. So Mystery Alaska is a 1999 movie. It's so 90s in a way. It's frivolous and it's carefree and everything else. It's directed by Jay Roach, who
I'm
did
shocked.
all of the
Yeah.
Austin Powers, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, Dinner for Schmucks, The Campaign, which has been on the podcast as well. But yeah, it stars, before Gladiator, Russell
But after
Crowe.
Virtuosity,
Right. Well, that's the interesting thing as well. Like I was talking about that last night, is that because Russell Crowe he did Gladiator and he became Russell Crowe.
right?
And it was weird how when that happened, and then you see other movies going, oh, it's Russell Crowe in a movie I've seen before. And you just don't notice Russell
It's
Crowe
the
in a movie.
opposite of like a Gerard
Yeah.
Butler trajectory,
Right.
Right.
Like because they're
Gerard did
kinda
300.
similar.
Yeah.
right.
But it's like, and I was talking about, because now I'm quite a fan of Gladiator. Gladiator was a fun movie. I've watched it a few times. I like it. It looks good. It's fun. But I've been saying that the weak point of Gladiator is Paul Mescal doesn't have.
He's not Russell Crowe.
He
Yeah.
doesn't have what Russell Crowe has. He doesn't have the I'm Maximus Decimus Meridius just thing.
Yeah.
He's in it and he's great and he's cool and I get it, but he's not got the X factor. But what's interesting about Russell Crowe, apart from Romper Stomper, if you've ever seen Romper Stomper, is pretty fucking iconic.
Quick and the Dead. Another
Right,
band.
right, but
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
mean. He's in that movie, but you're not saying that's a Russell Crowe movie. It's that guy with the hair,
You're right.
Then he does Gladiator. But I digress. But it's Russell Crowe, it's Hank Azaria are the two like main build guys, but it's also got Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
It's Cole Meany, which I know
Yeah.
excites. There we go. Will's excited. Because, yeah, we go. Star Trek, baby.
I recognized Skank as the boyfriend from Drop Dead Fred.
Right. Yeah.
he's
Only
the-
other thing I remember him in.
He's the helicopter pilot that gets captured in Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
That's where I know him. Ron Eldard
yeah.
is what you're thinking about. Yeah, and it tells the story. It's funny. So I watched both of these movies with my Tildy, who's my German daughter at the moment. I got a German exchange student living with me that loves movies. So honestly, I love it.
She translates them into English for you.
100%. We watch movies every night, and what was
That's
really
awesome.
fun is that we watched Mystery Alaska, and she goes, "Oh yeah, it was a good movie, but I can't stop thinking about Runaway Train."
Don't do the voice.
Because it was a fever dream, and I'm like, I'm doing the voice, but like, because we watch movies with German people, she goes, "Do I sound like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you sound exactly like that." But like, this is a movie that it's just like I said, all the bits are there. It just doesn't quite
It's
deliver
such a
on
movie.
it.
It's such
Yeah,
a movie.
Yeah.
And
so
it's not even like my favorite hockey movie, but I was just thinking like how was The World's Fastest Indian was based on like a very real true story. I know
yes,
this movie is loosely based on a similar event, but it just lacked that kind of heart and impact for me. And maybe because I've seen so many like sports movies similar to this.
Yeah.
Like even
Well, I
The
mean,
Mighty Ducks is kind of the
yeah, no. But the
same
thing is,
way.
okay,
right.
I was going to say Mighty Ducks, but you saw Mighty Ducks and you gave a fuck and you were excited about the end. And you
Right.
go, cool. You guys both nailed it last night. You were like, oh man, it's like a disposable Disney movie that they decided to put fucks
Yeah.
into.
Right. That's exactly right. It felt
Yeah.
weirdly like playing it so safe that I honestly thought was shocked that until I heard the first like swear word, I was convinced this was a Disney production.
It's the most PG-13 R-rated movie I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my life.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because that shocked me. Like I remember I was like not quite paying attention right at the very beginning, and then like the little child starts dropping the F bomb, and I was kind of
Hmm.
Right at
wait,
the
what are we
beginning.
watching?
And
Yeah, like what is this?
Is it Michael McKean swearing in the convenience store?
Yep.
I think
Right.
that's all of his dialogue
And
is
then
nothing
you've
but
got,
swear.
what's
This
his
is great.
face banging everybody.
Yeah.
And then you've got
Skank.
the completely unnecessary subplot for one joke, I guess, about the teenage guy who's a premature ejaculator. And it's like, take
That
all of
goes
that.
away almost immediately.
Yes, exactly. It's never fucking referenced again.
It's a
Take
problem when you have a
all of that.
film when you have a film like this where it focuses on this team and so many individual players that all have this unique thing going on. It's like way too much stuff. Like you have, the captain of the team who's new and gets arrested for this thing, and then you have that courtroom scene, which was
Because it's David E. Kelly, and he's like, I have
right.
to do a courtroom scene.
You got Russell Crowe dealing with
Yeah.
the fact that he's being kicked off the team because he's too old or too slow. You have Skank who's like being an
Entire thing is I
adulterer.
fuck
Like,
everybody.
yeah, I mean, then Hank Azaria was like, he was from this town, but he left to be a journalist, then comes back and brings like the air quotes New York Rangers because
Right.
not a single one of them was on the team.
Yeah, yeah. So this is exactly what you're nailing it, Ryan. Is that they try to give everybody a bit of like an arc or a screen time or a moment, and you don't have time for it, and you honestly don't give a shit, honestly. And that being said, we've had other movies on where they've done this. We've had other movies where
Name 10. The only thing I will say, the only thing I did care about was this fictitious town, which is
yes.
kind of the purpose of this
Well,
podcast.
the one thing about
Yeah.
this movie that worked very well is that they built this town. Like the town feels real. It's
Oh
shot
yeah.
in this town. People look very cold. You can see their breath all the time. You see the mountains in the background. That is an
Yeah.
element of this movie that's very good.
Yeah.
It
They
looks
filmed it.
good.
They filmed it all in Mystery, Alberta, Canada.
Yes, it's not a mystery.
Right.
It's all
Yeah.
Alberta, Canada. But like the thing is, this is kind of what I'm saying is it's not a bad movie. It's a well
No,
done movie, and you
not at
see
all.
the movie, but it's just they're trying to do too much, and kind of like we're saying is like I think the movie would have been better as a PG-13 movie. It had no reason to be R-rated the way that it was.
Yeah.
You could have got away with one fuck.
Yeah.
At no time do you see boobs or nudity or anything like that. Nothing was really that unconventional or inappropriate. Why make it that? Why make it?
Yeah. This was pretty close to like when you're watching a movie and then in the background of that movie they're watching like a fake movie.
Yeah.
This is kind of what that felt like. Is
Yeah.
like
It feels
this
like
is
a
just
fake movie.
a movie the characters in a movie are watching. It
Mm.
had like that kind of feel. It's just such a you
It's
nailed
really
it. Like it's a move. It is movie the movie.
So here's a thing. All right, do you reckon this is the thinking? All right, let's think like people in a movie studio who we have figured out on this podcast. No, fuck all.
Mhm.
Like
I
they
was
get
gonna
it
say,
wrong.
so I'm very, very stupid. Got it.
They get it, but 100%. I bet someone was sitting in the room and they were like, "Look, if we make this movie and it's PG-13, we're making Mighty Ducks. You know, we have
the
to,
adult years.
yeah, so we have to make it more adult. Why
guess,
don't we
yeah.
throw some fucks in there? Why don't we? Because that's the thing. It stood out immediately, like you're saying, Ryan. That very first fuck comes from a small
Yeah.
child, and you're like,
Mhm.
and even Russell Crowe turns and goes, "Where'd you hear that? You know what the hell?"
He doesn't even hit him.
Yeah.
If you're gonna lean into it. But
So,
yeah, it's just,
so to quickly catch anybody up who hasn't seen this movie, which is probably a lot of people, but essentially, so it tells us the story of this town, Mystery, Alaska, okay, where they're completely isolated, but this town just lives and breathes ice hockey because it is frozen 6 to 7 months of the year. Everyone ice skates everywhere, and they have this thing called the Saturday Game, which is just an every week, and it's been going on for decades, 4-on-4 ice hockey game where you are just drafted into the team, which in this case I think was 11 players. And every week they skate out onto the ice, and through a random selection, they just split into two teams and play hockey for the joy of hockey. Now, it turns out that one of the residents who never could skate, and everyone judges him for it, Hank Azaria, became a writer and has published a Sports Illustrated article, which just gets published in the magazine at the beginning of the movie, talking about these guys and how they're so great. And basically, through the joys of capitalism, PR, and marketing, they come together for an idea of bringing the New York Rangers to Mystery, Alaska for an exhibition game. So that is the fundamental sort of like what this movie is about.
You forgot one of the biggest things about this movie, which is he writes this article about the team, and the town fucking hates him for it.
Everything about
Yeah.
it.
Everybody in the town, like everyone in this town, is like, this guy should be dead. Like, we
But-
hate this man.
also you have like this.
Why?
Because he can't skate, Will. Because he can't
Oh, that's
fucking
right.
skate. That's it.
My God.
But also you get that weird, seemingly unnecessary plot thread where this big corporation wants to come in and build like a huge big box retail store. I forget the name of it. It's like
It's
Costmart
basically
or something.
Walmart, but not Walmart.
Right.
Yeah,
I just couldn't remember the name of it. It was so generic. But like that doesn't factor in. I mean,
Do
it's
anything.
really
No, it's not related to the team coming to play. It's like not. I don't know if it's related to literally anything.
It is related to one thing and one thing only. David E. Kelly loves a courtroom scene. It's set up
Yeah.
for the courtroom scene. So Michael McKean pops into the movie and then he pops out the movie because he has the little courtroom scene. And then we have the lawyer from Mystery goes to New York, faces down the NHL, gives a great speech, dies of a heart attack, and that sets up the movie. I mean, cut
It's-
that movie, and now you got an hour and 45-minute long movie, which is just cool runnings, but with ice hockey and
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Is like it's
bogged
David E.
down by
Kelly was just he's writing too much. He's producing it. It didn't really get like cut down. I mean, yeah. What was the point? You're 100% right. Well, why have that subplot about that store? Had nothing to
like,
do with
there
the point of
could've-
anything.
There could have been an easier way because the whole point of that was to add some tension, getting their star player like risking losing this game. And also the judge of the courtroom is Burt Reynolds, who is the father of the ginger guy.
The ginger guy who turns up in loads of movies.
Yeah.
Who is like his dad is never proud because he never got to play, right? He never got to play for
He didn't play in the Saturday game,
Saturday
but he was a
games, right.
2A player. He was a
Right.
college player, so it sounds like it was pretty legit. Like I said, there's just too many
It's
threads.
too many things.
Just whatever,
Yeah.
whatever kind of stuff. It's like
Yeah.
take away 50 of the threads and just have the main 5, and we're all going to enjoy the
Even
movie.
now I'm like breaking it apart. Like even the hockey players sleeping with the man.
Skank, sleeping with Colin Meaney's wife,
Yeah.
and he gets over it real fucking quick.
real fast.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like there's that, and then there's also like Russell Crowe's wife and Hank Azaria
Yeah.
are kind of like rekindling their relationship.
Sort of.
And
Sort
she
of.
was definitely into Hank Azaria.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
she's
then
like,
that's
"What?"
also
I'm like,
yeah that's also kind of like forgiven right away, and so there's like this threat of like relationships are going to get broken apart, but it never happens, and they set it up 2 different times.
You know, there's moments where we watch these movies and we're like, oh, this would have made like a better like 10-episode series. This feels like a 10-episode series condensed.
I was about to say exactly the same thing. It's like David E. Kelly planned out an entire series of this show,
right?
And then he goes, all right, well, I got 2 minutes for this, 2 minutes for this, 2 minutes, and let's do none of it. Right. You know, fucking none of it. That's exactly
it's speed run the movie. Like,
let's
get through this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the movie does suffer. But that said, it's still a perfectly fine film.
That's the thing. You're exactly
what's that?
Right.
What's that word you like? What's that word? Cromulent.
Cromulent. Yeah, it's perfectly cromulent movie. Yeah, from The Simpsons. But it's just
And then Mike Myers turns up.
Yeah.
You know?
I forgot about that till just this second. Yeah.
Hey, where can a fella go get a rub and tug around here?
Right. That was the funniest bit. Yeah. And then my German exchange student goes, "What does that mean?" I'm like, we'll talk about that later. This movie is so actually this is something I noticed as well. So tall guy, tree, in the movie, ginger guy, who is like Burt Reynolds' son, and Russell Crowe, all 3 of them are in Ridley Scott's Robin Hood.
Oh, okay.
Russell Crowe is Robin Hood, and then those 2 are both his merry men in that fucking movie. That was it thinking, wait a minute, this is like what
you think Ridley Scott saw?
Yeah, Ridley Scott loved this movie apparently. He's like, you know what, I got this is what we do.
And meanwhile, Jay Roach is like, I'll show you, motherfucker. I'm like, 3 Austin Powers movies.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie it's just it's confounding to me that like it should have, like, when we get to the end of the movie, you know, because I'm going to jump right there. So we get them, they get the New York Rangers come up, and it's the bit right at the end of the movie because you have the first period, and I actually had to ask my missus, like, is it 4 quarters? Is it 2 halves? Is it 3? There we go. And so first period, all right, the Mystery Alaska, the
up to
Eskimos. The Eskimos go up 2. Second period, the Rangers go up 5-2. Third period, the guys come back. They're 5-4. Last second of the game, one of the players goes for it. Everyone's excited, takes the shot, and he hits the crossbar. And this is the most unrealistic part of the movie because everyone just goes, oh, and they all sit down in silence. You know, your teeny team of a town of 150 people, and those 11 guys have just taken the Rangers to 5-4, and you almost tied it up in the last second, and everyone goes, oh. And they sit down, and it's silent for 15 seconds, and I burst out laughing when Burt Reynolds goes,
the slow clap.
It's the fucking slow clap, which is like, I think is it not another teen movie or whatever where like there's like he's always trying to start the fucking slow clap. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck off! Are you kidding me?
There's
the crowd goes, oh yeah, we should applaud them. Are you kidding? This makes no sense. Nothing.
The bit that I do appreciate is the fact that Mystery Alaska has the home ice advantage. They have the weather advantage, which they utilize. Like,
we'll talk about that in a second.
It goes into. I mean, you're forgetting that Little Richard.
Little Richard, yes. That was again. Tildy goes, "Is he a real person?"
We don't know. I don't know.
That's a very funny bit. Yeah, so there's a really funny bit in the movie where they've got Little Richard to sing the national anthem, and so Mystery starts like trying to stack the deck because they were originally supposed to play on the open ice on the lake, and of course now because the players have got involved, they've got to play on a better ice, and so then Little Richard is gonna sing the national anthem. That's a funny bit though.
It's crazy
the national anthem so long that they get super.
Well, he sings the national anthem long, and then he goes into the Canadian national. And you see like the Rangers going like, which is ridiculous.
Yes, but that's funny, right? Because it's just a movie, right? It's no different to Airborne. It's no different to Cool Runnings. It's no different to. I'm complimenting these movies, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying is about with Mr. Alaska. It's like, you know, the victory is in just the fact that they played, and the fact that they bungle the end of like it should have just been, well
I
done.
mean,
They try to draw it out to this ridiculous slow clap moment. And I'm
I
like,
thought
I'm feeling
too-
nothing.
Yeah, and I thought in
Yeah.
like in a Mighty Ducks type of film, they would have like these special plays that they worked on. Like, but
Right.
again,
Yeah.
it's one team that's split into two because they would, play 4-on-4, so they kind of all know each other's strengths and weaknesses, so that really wouldn't apply.
Never played that. Never played into
But
that, did
like,
they?
if this
No.
was like God, I don't know what this is, but like sort of, if it took that route, like an Out Cold or something, and just went straight comedy, I think it would have been a more enjoyable experience. But it does take itself like very seriously.
Did you just reference Out Cold?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a snowboarding movie with Lee Majors.
Yeah, that we did last season, I think.
Hey, keep in mind, I think this is like episode 7 or 8, and this is like the third Burt Reynolds movie we've done.
Yeah, well, good. Well, why not? Because God bless him. I mean,
He
this
is great in
thing,
it.
this like we keep saying it.
Yeah.
We do keep saying it. The bits are there, and there's great actors, and there's moments, and it's shot well. But like in a Sunday, I think Ryan again. You
It's-
bang it Sunday afternoon, bang it on, harmless
Like if
movie.
this is on TBS with commercials, like yeah, throw it on. Like
Yeah, but
sleep, take-
the annoying part being on TBS, they
This
have
is
to
the
censor.
most TBS movie I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
if not for the 27 fucks, and just a couple of like, just like,
Right.
why? Just
Yeah.
make it a PG-13 movie. Stick the landing of just we've all learned some fucking lessons, and we're like, yeah, that was fun. But this is more just like, was it fun? I guess. Okay.
What's the message that even though they lost, they still recruit the best players to go play like AA
Yeah.
hockey? Like, there's a line in this in the beginning when Hank Azaria shows up. It's my favorite because it's the only thing I like truly remember from this. Russell Crowe's like leaving the diner. He's leaving the crime scene where the player shot a thing and it ricocheted and hit
Michael
whatever
McKean.
his- yeah, Michael McKean's like whatever. He gets a call on the radio and they're like, "Hey, there's a helicopter coming in. Looks Russian."
That's right.
Yeah.
Why? And then because then you see the helicopter is just white and red. Like
Yeah.
how it's a I don't know.
See,
I'm not
see,
a helicopter
because
guy.
I'd watched Runaway Train before, I actually quite liked the whole
Ah.
Russian connection. And then I was also like,
You thought it was the warden coming in
Right,
from
but then
Oh,
also-
nice. There we go.
And then I was like, then I also had a Red Dawn moment because we also did Red Dawn season
Yeah.
1 for Colorado, and I go, oh,
Yeah.
cool. you do
And
this sort
like
of-
in a movie, not to keep going back to the Mighty Ducks, but in a movie like this, you're expecting like Team Iceland, but for them to get the Rangers and paint them as as the villain, it's no surprise that no one in the NHL like on the Rangers were like, I'll be in this movie, considering they have a Wayne Gretzky joke like somewhere in the thing, and he was playing for the Rangers at this time.
Yep. No,
Crazy.
it was just not quite thought out. I guess it's just I like I said, my theory is someone just said we got to make this a bit more adult, so let's just do this kind of way. It wasn't quite all comedy, it wasn't quite all drama, it wasn't quite a sports movie. But just like Insomnia, which won, right? Is shot in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing about this movie is like, I'm and I'm happy to just kind of move on from this movie. In as much as
You were happy to move on the second we started.
well, no,
Right.
but this really does boil down what the movie is. It's just like, yeah,
Eh.
watch it, but fuck it.
Yeah.
It's like that's
I
what that
wouldn't-
movie was to me. I'm
If you're on-
I'm not going to
if
buy
you're
it on
s-
Blu-ray. Will's not
if-
going to buy the Criterion collection.
right.
No.
You know?
If you're stuck in a hotel, like
Yes.
a Holiday Inn in Alaska, sure. Yeah.
There you
Go
go.
for it. If you fucking love hockey, great. Maybe don't
Watch the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, that's good. If you love hockey, this will be
I'm
your
like-
35th
I'm
favorite movie.
even
Yeah.
surprised like that the NHL would sign on to license the use of the Rangers in this. But if you don't, the movie doesn't fucking work.
Oh my
know,
God, it would work just fine. You just go, they call the New York Ice Puckers. You don't need it.
The butt puckers?
It's just
Or just get a Canadian team, I guess.
right, but it just
Yeah.
but it's still, I will admit that it was really, really good to just like in the foreground, someone there, and it's Russell Crowe looking cold, and there's a thing, but all the way in the background, you got a Canadian national park. it looked beautiful. It does look like,
Yeah.
you know, your idea of what Alaska is. It does give you
It
this.
opens with a dude skating like through a glacier, and it's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
rad. You're like,
You
okay, this
get
is
this
cool.
whole vibe of like the small town. You get this whole
Oh
vibe
yeah,
of like,
we
you know,
love a small town in this
they're
podcast.
they're all. You know what I was thinking is that the whole time I was like going, oh man, it's trying to be Doc Hollywood but
I was
failing.
gonna say, I sure hope Michael J. Fox shows
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that so many times because Doc
You know-
Hollywood hits us right there, and we're all on board with it. And I'm just constantly missing. They're watching them just whiff it.
You know
Oh,
what
you
we
missed
need?
it.
We
Yeah,
need
missed it.
to like go back and catalog like all of our favorite small town little movies and just get all those characters. So you got Michael J. Fox, you've got Sam Neill in The Mouth of Madness. All our small get them on a hockey team.
You got sorry, you got Ben Affleck from Phantoms, Small Town.
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
Maybe Liev Schreiber at least.
All the kids from the Goonies were good. I go absolutely, but yeah, this is a movie like it just we said at the beginning, and we mean it. It's like the bits are there, and
It's
good
the
to
Mighty
look at.
Ducks for dads.
I
Like,
guess, but like yeah, but
Yeah.
it would have been the Mighty Ducks for dads if I guess if there'd been some boobs or something. You know what I mean? It's like, but they didn't. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
there are better hockey movies and just better movies.
Movies, yes, in
Right.
general. Whereas
There is no better movie.
there is no movie like this movie, Runaway Train. I again was describing it. Is that remember when we did Possession?
Mhm.
Yes.
Possession was one of the most crazy things I've ever seen in my life. It's unlike any
Yeah.
movie I've ever seen. And this movie, when I got to the end of it, I go, this was like Possession in a way that
On a train.
it is what it is, and that's what the movie is. So if I was to describe you Runaway Train, and like I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's a 1985 movie called Runaway Train starring John Voight and Eric Roberts. That's all Will brought to us. And we're
And,
like,
hold
you know
on,
what?
Will-
Fuck yeah.
Will also said like in our text thread, like before we'd even like looked anything into this movie, he'd like, oh, it's like an action movie from the 70s. And I was quick to be like, no, you idiot. It was 1985. But meanwhile, watching this, I'm like, this feels like a 70s movie.
Mhm.
Like
Oh, yeah.
looks, feels, acts, sounds like a 70s movie.
Yes, not just that. It feels like a 1970s Russian movie.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that-
yeah.
that's the thing is because we both like Ryan and I initially when Will pitches this to us, like I even when you look at the poster, you're like, oh, this is gonna be like Under Siege 2. This is gonna be like,
wish.
you know, it's gonna be some ridiculous explodey bang pow gun bing bang bong movie.
Oh.
You know exactly where it's gonna go.
It's Tarkovsky's Runaway Train.
That's- yeah.
But it's not. It's in this movie.
Is
It
it
just-
art?
Yes. And I
yes.
think it is, Ryan. And the thing is, lots of people agree with you, and I also think they're completely fucking wrong because this movie is so bad and so good, and just this is where I have to like we
I
hinted
love
at it.
these movies that stick with us like throughout the week.
Yeah. This
It
is
doesn't
one
happen often, but when
but when it
we're
does,
like,
this is one of them
yeah.
because I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, have we found a wraith? Have we found like you know?
yeah.
Like,
Yes. Yeah.
because this is the part that I only discovered 2 minutes before we started recording. Will had to reset. Ryan and I were talking, and I'm opening like IMDb because I was behind on this week. And I see, and I can't, and I may have to talk about this for 20 minutes, guys. That both John Voight and Eric Roberts were nominated for Oscars for acting in this movie. And
Hell
I think
yeah.
I think I need to kill myself because that doesn't make any sense to me as a human being.
I
because
mean-
the acting.
Well, the 70s were a wild time.
This is 1985.
oh
Fuck!
shit.
Oh, God.
The acting in this
No.
movie was so bad. Like Eric Roberts, and I'm so glad because damn it, I was saving it for the pod, but you said it, Ryan. Is like Eric Roberts is doing, I guess, what Tom Hanks based Forrest Gump off of.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he's half a step off brain damage.
I didn't say Forrest Gump. I said Ben Stiller as Simple Jack.
Simple Jack. That's all right. Yeah, it's that voice that he does for the entire movie.
I need my shoes. I need my shoes. Where are my shoes? I need shoes. And I'm like, we're not joking, guys. For 20 minutes, that's the only thing Eric Roberts says.
I swear, because I watched this movie. It took me 2 days. Like I started it late one day, and I'm like, I can't go to sleep with this in my brain. So I needed to reset. But yeah, I feel like he was, when they're doing their escape, I guess, going through the sewers, getting all greased up and rubbing themselves with like a cellophane.
Yep.
And he's just like has to lose his shoes, and he's like, "Where? I need my shoes.
I need my shoes. I was like,
my shoes."
Okay, all right, guys. So
it's like they recorded 40 takes and just used them all in a row.
Well, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like the director didn't understand any of the words that his actors were saying, and he was just picking up on vibes.
More shoes.
So let's try like this. The plot of this movie is actually very simple, but the underlying plot
It's in the title of the movie,
right?
Yes,
but the underlying plot of this movie is actually a lot more complicated. But essentially, it tells the story of John Voight's character Manny Mannheim, who it moves very quickly. This movie, we discover that he has been not just locked in solitary, welded into solitary for 3
he's that
years.
Dangerous. Yeah,
in an absolutely, and I'm just like, again,
it's a prison within the prison, right?
But I'm watching this movie, but within the prison of Alaska as well. So it's a prison in the middle of nowhere. It's this federal prison. I just turned to Tilly going, why is there a federal prison in the middle of nowhere? And she goes like, basically goes, it would make more sense if it was Siberia. Like I said, this whole movie makes more sense if you set
in Germany,
it in
they're
Russia.
just called prisons.
But so we find out that John Voight's character is he has just won a Supreme Court battle to be released from this, like being welded into a cage for 3 years. 2, for some reason that's never fully explained, he is a fucking hero to every single other.
He's a real criminal's criminal.
He's the criminal's criminal, right?
I mean, they idolize him, yeah.
And like everybody loves him. 3, Forrest Gump / Eric Roberts is like, for some reason, he's like face from the A-Team. He's also like a really good boxer. He also dresses in the weirdest like 80s boxing outfits. But as it goes, also maybe the most annoying human being on earth. And then there is the warden who just takes unbelievable joy in saying, no, John Voight is a monster. These men are monsters and they're supposed to be treated like monsters. And you're like, okay, I guess I know where the movie's going. You know what? You don't.
I've seen a canon movie or two. I know what's going on. No, you don't.
You know what? Thank you, Will. Thank you for bringing that up.
It was a Shawshank Redemption.
Yes. The movie starts with a cannon. The cannon thing comes up, and I go,
yeah,
like, oh my god, it's a cannon movie. Like,
rock hard immediately.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, it's a cannon movie. But god damn, this movie has just consumed me for days, and I can someone please explain to me why? Will, what is your take on this movie? You are our resident movie, just absolute nerd. This is Kurosawa. This is a Russian director. This is Oscar nominated. What the fuck is going on, man?
This must be, and because they said 85, so this has got to be pretty close to the end of the canon group. Yeah. Because I think they went out of business like a year or two after. Like they didn't make it to the 90s. I don't think. I could be wrong. But so this must have been when they were
94. Like, there we go.
94. Okay, so they were 9 years.
Jurassic Park, of course.
Yes, the best canon film. This is one where it's like you read up like, yeah, Kurosawa tried to get this movie made, and then just couldn't for whatever reason, and it just somehow ended up at canon. It's the most bizarre confluence of events because this is not like. For people who are unfamiliar with canon, because I don't know how much we've talked about them on the podcast, but like they're known for schlock like Cyborg, one of my favorites, or Alien from L.A., or if anybody remembers like the Doc Savage movies and stuff.
Canon, just like when you were growing up, like, you'd put a VHS in, Canon would rock up, and you go, all right,
yeah,
we're up for something. Something's
It's like
gonna
it's
happen.
we have Orion at home.
Yeah,
Right.
It's the
Yes.
Canon.
Oh
Exactly.
my god, Canon and Orion, that's my childhood.
Right.
Yeah. So like they were like the action movie schlock. Most people might be aware they did all the Death Wish sequels,
Right.
which should really tell you.
A lot of them are
happening.
cult favorites, you know?
Oh yeah, I have numerous Canon Blu-rays.
You
on
bring
my
up
shelf.
Cyborg constantly.
God, I love Cyborg. Such a good movie. But so they're those guys. This is a bonkers movie, kind of in their wheelhouse, but in a completely different way.
This
There
is like the
is-
Criterion Canon.
Yes, this is them
casting
like.
couch.
Ooh. You do not want to be on. Not
I was just saying, if Criterion, if
Yeah.
Criterion has their closet, Canon has their
bench,
glory hole. I don't know.
their outhouse.
The Canon
Yeah.
cornhole. I don't know. I
Yeah.
didn't have enough time to really workshop these ideas.
Ooh, you don't want to be on that.
But we get it.
Yeah, that's what if you ever want to know what happened to Michael Dudikoff, he went on that.
Yeah, but like this
the
is a very
categorical.
this is like a very prestige Canon movie, which I cannot believe those words just fell out of my head.
Well, it's one
Yeah.
of 3 Canon movies that got Oscar nominated or Oscar won.
The others
That's-
being, of course, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace and Zorro the Gay Blade, right?
The others being by Zora the Gay Blade is one of Zen's favorite movies, and she's like, fucking.
Is that a
no.
Canon? That's a Canon movie?
I don't think it
I'm
is,
not sure it
actually.
is. No, it's a 1970 movie called Joe. Runaway
That got
Train,
nominated?
1985, and
Oh,
Street
God.
Smart as well. Christopher Reeve, 1987.
Oh, okay. That one makes more sense. Joe, I can't believe. Joe, if you've ever seen Taxi Driver and wanted to know what its grimy like convict cousin is, it's Joe.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, I guess.
No.
Okay,
It's-
I'm figuring out which state that's in, but keep going.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
New
it's also
York.
New
Yeah,
York.
it's New
Yeah,
York. There we go.
We'll save
Yeah,
that.
what if-
We'll pocket that one.
yeah. What if Travis Bickle was openly racist and misogynistic and just shot everybody?
Alright, what's the name of this
So,
podcast?
Taxi Driver. Okay.
Yeah. More so. But yeah. So this is. We're just so used to Canon movies just being, just
Masters of the Universe.
exactly, and this is
Love.
so not that. But in an equally entertaining way.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because it's like the entire time you're like, this is nuts, but it's acting like a real movie.
Right. I was just confused because at times I'm like, you get those scenes with any dialogue scene with Eric Roberts. You're just like, what the fuck is this? But then you'd get these like sweeping helicopter shots of this train
Oh my
or
God.
Oh yeah,
this like absolutely nuts stunt work where I'm like,
Yep.
this person
Yeah.
probably died. And
Yeah,
I think-
it's well. Actually, we will mention that yes, actually, a helicopter pilot did die in this movie, and that is no fucking surprise when you're watching. But this is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing: is that this movie is not one movie. It's like 5 movies in all the good ways. It's like
right.
a John Woo.
Yeah.
It's like John Woo kind of action in moments. You're like where you're going, holy shit. And it's like just like exactly, Ryan, these moments where you're going, well, that's a real train.
Yeah.
That's a sweeping shot. That's holy.
that's someone jumping off of a moving train.
Yeah,
Or
and you're
falling
like,
off of a moving
wow, that's
Yeah.
really quite something. And then it's like, there's a moment where like John Voight just goes, it's almost like you joke about it in movies. John Voight is like, okay, here's my Oscar clip. Here's my 3 minutes where I'm gonna do a monologue, sucker, and I'm gonna act the hell of this
And
sucker.
it didn't get it for this. So he's like, you know what? That was a dry run. I'm going to do this again for Anaconda.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna get
Same
my
teeth
teeth and
same
everything.
eye.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
just like no
Yeah.
one's going to remember Runaway Train,
But
for
this-
which I was nominated an Oscar.
But this movie, you know what I did is I judged the book by its cover. I saw Cannon, I saw Runaway Train, I saw John Voight, and I saw Eric Roberts, and I go, I know what this movie is. And for the first 20 minutes, like I said, Tildy and I we're just making fun of this movie in a way. Now, granted, we did actually continue to make fun of this movie, but it really does win us over. Because like I said, just for a movie that's nominated for Oscars, this movie has terrible dialogue, terrible acting in certain moments. Like for example, we were joking about how every female character just so there's the female character that works at the in the office of the
with the bubble gum,
Character is a very generous way to describe it.
Yes, there you go. Okay, so the biggest female stereotype of all time, where all she cares about is her hair, her nails, or whatever. There is also literally a line where it turns out. Okay, fine. Really quickly, guys, for the people at home, Eric Roberts and John Voight break out of this prison. They end up on a train where immediately the engineer, just no explanation, no anything, just immediately dies of a heart attack. Okay.
I had to rewind it.
Same. No, I thought I missed something.
10 seconds.
They aren't even in the same part of the train.
No, just guy. They get on the train. It cuts to a guy dying, dead. We're on a runaway train.
Goes outside, falls off of the train.
Yeah, dead.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then it turns out Rebecca De Mornay is also on the train as an also just useless female character. What I mean in as much as she's explained for being there as I fell asleep on the train.
And I woke up when you ran through that fucking caboose, and I bonked my head.
Holy shit! But this is the point, like the dismissal of women or the misogyny of this movie is that the annoying guy that works at the company he finds out there's another person on the train. He goes, it's a woman,
right?
It's a woman. Just give me. It's a woman on the train. How are we going to stop the train? And like Tildy,
we're not.
It's so funny because what did she do? I would have just fainted. I would have just done my nails. I would just menstruated all over the place. You know, it's like it's fucking ridiculous the way they talk or treat women in this movie. But it's also just
the
like
whole corporate element of the company that operates the trains. Like, really needs to stop this train because reasons.
Because
you've got the guy that has like, I did all the computer programming, but I can't stop the train. So the CEO comes in to yell at everybody, and then you've got
everyone is yelling. Yes, that's what I was going to say. The black character as well is just the lines they give him are ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, everyone is shouting at everybody. They're on the phone shouting, "You jackass! There's a train coming! All right, you jackass! I'll stop the train. Why is no? Just it's. But the thing is, when you then go, it's a Soviet director. It feels like a Russian making a Russian movie in American. And then that's when I flipped the switch in my head. And that's when I was like, that's what this movie is, because the acting it's over the top in ways. And the way it's shot is so bleak, it's almost black and white. And it's like, but then it starts becoming just so much more intense. And that's what explains like the compelling ending of this movie is like, because as much as I'm watching this movie and I'm watching and I started thinking about like, this is a Soviet director. This movie's not going to end in an explosion. This movie's not going to end in a
it's going to end with a fucking Shakespeare quote.
It's going to end in some fucking. It's going to cut to black.
Just John Voight on the top of the train. Like,
it's one of the best endings of a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's like
we need to
That's the only thing that makes sense in this movie. It's a Russian movie in American.
Yeah,
and suddenly, boom, the movie makes sense.
Because the bits of action that you do get is just them trying to stop the train in various ways. Like, that's all the tension build up. And that's why I think our boy Patrick Willems did a whole video on train movies. And I'm not even sure if he included this one.
I think he did I think he mentioned it like a throwaway, because it's not a well-known film.
You get them we got, all right, they sped past through this stop, so we got to call the guy ahead and get him to run out of his car, pull the thing, like, oh no,
there's people on the train.
Oh shit, yeah. And
they go through the caboose and the slow-moving train. This is all in Tony Scott's Unstoppable.
I was going to ask,
movie.
Yeah, I maybe saw that once, but
it's really good.
I kept thinking, like, in the hands of like Will always says, if you just tweak certain things here and there, certain knobs, like if like Stallone was in this movie, or if Tony Scott directed this movie, or whatever, it could have been great, and it still is great.
See, I was about to say, that's why I agree and disagree with you because I know exactly what you mean. Throw a Van Damme because you said this on the text thread.
Yeah, oh yeah, Van Damme.
Even Seagal, it's Sylvester Stallone, whatever. But then suddenly
Hmm.
it's explodey bang pow. It's stupid. There's an explosion, and you just dismiss it the next day.
Hmm.
The fact
You
that
do.
this movie has consumed me for days. Like I said, that's why I'm feeling like it's possession. Like it's this movie that I don't understand it.
Big
I don't
fucking
get it,
swings.
but
Yeah.
god damn it.
Yeah.
Like it's just god damn it. Like this movie. People should see this movie. That's that thing. That's where I am. Is like fuck Mystery Alaska. Fine, watch it if you want.
I
But
didn't realize
this movie will confound you, but you'll be thinking about it.
I paused it I didn't know where I was in the film because I wasn't sure if I needed a third day to finish
You're
it.
right, because even
I
like we
paused it,
were,
I'm like,
how long has this movie been going?
Yeah, I'm like, how far can this train go? They keep saying like, well, it's gonna hit the end of the line. Like they're planning. They're basically
Alaska's a
organizing
big
to-
place, bro.
Well, no,
It's a
I'm just
big
saying like
place.
they're organizing to just simply derail this train once they find out there's no one on it except for a woman. But
Ugh.
like
A
30
woman.
minutes in, I'm like, where the fuck is this gonna go? And then a helicopter shows up, and I'm like,
Ah,
okay.
God
Not
damn it.
only does the helicopter show up, it also contains a man on a rope ladder. Who I had to
Brilliant.
rewind this because it happens so fast.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
lands on the train, falls into the glass, breaking it, and then you get a really weird shot from underneath the train
Well, he definitely
Where the
gets cut in half.
where the
Yeah.
man is like in an impossible angle and you just see
Yeah.
his face. Like it's crazy. And then you get the warden who looks down and goes, ah, and just
Yeah,
takes his
I'll do it. And
Yeah.
I was like,
What?
he's got no concern
warden
about
is
his. I've been working
no
with him for 20 years.
emotions at all. I was like, at least like show some anger. He was just like, God,
Well, that's what I mean about like Russian movie. Oh, disposable people. All right,
Yeah.
I guess it's my turn.
This warden was insane.
I'll do it differently. Like, what's the same plan?
Yeah, he does the exact same thing. The warden is weird in this movie. I have it
Very
in my
weird.
notes that I don't understand him because he's like, I want this guy because he's like after him and he's like, I don't want to recapture him. I want to kill him. And then
Yeah.
and then hey, guess what? He's on this runaway train where he's definitely gonna die. And the warden is like, no, I need to kill him. I'm like, buddy, just sit back.
Well, you know what, Will?
Yeah.
I get what you mean, and I think, and that's kind of what I was saying right at the beginning. Is it seems like a shallow movie, and then when you really look at it, I think that what the director is doing is trying to like. It's not a Runaway Train movie. It's about a guy that's been caged and a guy that caged him, and it's a guy
Right.
that's like, "Fuck you, I'm going to be free no matter what," and another guy is, "I'm going to keep you from being free no matter what." It's two crazily obsessed people.
Yeah.
It's two Captain Ahabs
Right,
colliding.
and there you go, brilliant, yeah, exactly, and
An
it's like,
immovable object and an unstoppable force.
yes, and
Yeah.
then what I love about the movie in a way, which is in a way that European movies and Russian movies, and like I
Yeah.
said, American movies will always have the wrap up. This one just doesn't give it to you. It just gives it like
Yeah.
it gives it the shot of John Voight. Just it was amazing. I'm not
Really
gonna
cool.
lie, fucking amazing.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you get the shot of the warden with his kind of like grimace.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, this movie, holy shit.
You're right. It's not a Broken Arrow. It's not a John Woo
No.
film at all.
But the guy's hanging off the train for 10
Uh,
minutes,
or-
and you got all this
yeah.
stuff. It is a John Woo movie,
The
but
guy
it's not.
hanging, the shot of the helicopter, like when the train goes through the tunnel and the helicopter
Brilliant.
cuts around, and the guy's hanging like in a Mission Possible style, like
Yeah.
real fucking stunt.
Brilliant.
Crazy. But I think the best thing for me when it like that switch flipped in my brain is you get that scene with John Voight. It was right after Rebecca De Mornay comes in. You have John Voight and Eric Roberts. He wants Eric Roberts to go out on the front to try and jump across, and he's out there for fuck knows how long.
Yeah.
And that is like, it was harrowing. But when he comes back, he doesn't let him in, and they get this like brutal scene where
It kicks the shit out of him.
Eric Roberts like, man, I thought we were cool, dude. Like, what the hell, man?
And that's when John Voight goes, "Here's my Oscar moment."
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm doing it. I'm doing my whole thing. I'm monologuing right now.
And Rebecca De Mornay just getting fucking sidelined was just like a shame.
Her eyes were incredible, though.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there was so much like about this that it just I would recommend this movie. That's the
For sure.
craziest thing about this is I would say if you love movies,
Yeah.
like watch this movie. It
Yeah.
doesn't make
Oh,
any
If
yeah.
you love trains and prison movies, that's the
Yeah.
thing about, when a train is like just a perpetual like ticking clock because it can only go in that one direction,
100%.
and it's like the tension's built into the vehicle itself, and that's fucking awesome. More train movies, please.
Right.
Will, like,
Yeah.
you're still
Will
there?
is in Alaska frozen
Yeah.
right now.
One thing. Yeah. One thing is I really really want to see if I can't find. Am I?
You're good. We can hear you, buddy. But you
I'm on a
froze.
runaway train.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
better now? Like,
Are
can
you
see me now,
in a
or
tunnel?
hear me now, or am I?
We hear you fine, but
Superman.
you were frozen solid.
Much like my heart was. There you go. You're back. Anyway,
Yeah,
keep
okay.
going, Will.
You guys are freezing up for me too, so I don't know quite what's.
Yeah, well, stop
Yeah.
being in Russia
Okay.
when you're making a podcast, man.
Oh no.
He's still there. Will?
No, I think we lost Will.
Okay, we're gonna pause right now until we get Will back. Okay, sorry about that. Like, yeah, Will was going through an Alaskan tunnel, but we got him back. So, Will, where were you going?
As I was saying before the warden came in, I really really want to find the original script for this movie. See if I can't find it somewhere, because I was reading about like some of Kurosawa's like original ideas. Where he based the idea for this movie on is literally, I was reading it, it was like, oh yeah, one time they lost control of the train and it just kind of went. Nobody escaped. There was no prison, anything. Kurosawa was like, oh, train just kind of went out of control. I didn't know they could do that. And that was the spark for the movie.
We joked it was based on themes originally whistled by Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah. Like, I just really want to know what the original differences were. And I think the John Voight character, if I remember the trivia correctly, was supposed to be more of like maybe a guy who was wrongfully accused, but a guy who was just more of like an average criminal who was being tormented by this warden. And when you kind of take that into account, it's like, okay, certain things make a little bit more sense, where it's like this guy was tormented, trying really hard to get to freedom, and this guy's trying to pull him back. I'm like, okay, some things about the script start to kind of click a little bit more. I do think what we ended up with was way more intense and way more bonkers.
Yeah, because he's unhinged, and you really like when he snaps on Eric Roberts' character, like that's a great. I mean, that's a great scene for both of them. But his acting in that, like he really is taking a big
it's a
fucking
great
swing.
scene because of John Voight's acting, and it's a great scene because finally someone is kicking the shit out of Eric Roberts.
Yes.
God damn it.
By the way, Eric Roberts beating Danny Trejo in a boxing match, like no, that's the most unrealistic thing I've seen in movies in a long time.
John Voight, who is stabbed in the hand and then hit with a wrench in his other hand,
and stabbed in his bicep as well.
Yeah.
Also, by the way,
70s.
that prison was really easy to break out of. By the way, really fucking easy. Just go through that door. If you go through that door, you can just break out of the prison.
Well, you just need to give Tiny Lister some shoes, and
you're forgetting the age-old nighttime prison thing where the searchlight can only see where the searchlight is.
That is my favorite trope from old movies. They do it in Superman 2 as well.
That's right.
Or that the laundry is outside the security room.
That was I have that in my notes where I was like, how far away is this laundry?
Why did you put the laundry outside the wall of the prison?
Or how he diverts Tiny Lister's inquisitiveness with a porno magazine.
Yes, I do love the amazing stereotype of you can distract the black character with athletic shoes or white vagina.
It's very
it works on me too. I can't really
assume, hold on. I can only assume that Hideo Kojima saw this movie and it was inspired and used that in Metal Gear Solid.
There is a non-zero chance that's happened.
That's what I mean. Like, but there's so like we were having so much fun making fun of the movie for the first 20 minutes. And it is a movie that deserves to be made fun of for the first 20 minutes. But then And then you still make fun of the movie because of the confounding accents that both of the main characters.
It's still like a lot of cheese,
nominated for
but...
Oscars. Yes, but by the end of the movie, Jon Voight on top of this train, riding towards his freedom and death.
Allegedly, they could make another one.
But
Legacy sequel?
I genuinely, guys, this movie hit me, and I'm like, I love that about movies. Right, but yeah, right. But I was honestly I was talking to my father-in-law about this over lunch today, and I go, this is why I love doing this podcast, because I end up in these places watching these movies, feeling some kind of way about some. If you gave me like, I can't pick a fucking movie on Netflix if you give me an hour. Because I'm not right now.
No trains, no Voight, no
yeah,
Roberts.
right. And this one, I guess I'm watching this movie called Runaway Train. Yeah. And then I finish it and my brain is going, what did I just see? And that's what I think is what I not think. That's what I know. That's why movies are what.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean? You get into something like Snowpiercer is just Runaway Train for pussies.
No, but I'm watching and go, oh my god, it's Snowpiercer, but it's because some of the shots of that train, man,
fast. Like you can tell they speed up the footage to make the train faster, but still.
Right, but I don't just mean that. I mean like, oh, you've got it under the train, you've got the wheels, you've got the front of the train. They've mounted that camera,
and
and it's so cold
when the train goes through at the very end. When the train bashes through like that wooden barricade, you hear that like lion roar. Sound effect. I caught that. I was like, come on.
Oh, the part of the movie that made me cringe the hardest, strangely enough, is like where Jon Voight is like hanging on. It's towards the end. He's like in between the two cars.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how they did that, because I'm watching it and I'm like, how do you fake that? Because that looks like his hand actually got caught.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
But I'm like,
I audibly went, "Ooh!"
Holy shit! No, you're right. Me too. So So I'll explain to the audience. So there's a bit right towards the end where Jon Voight's trying to sort of separate the lead engine, and I made a comment about it, like almost like a movie goof, because he's trapped between the connectors and he's got his hand in a place. I go, I'm like, oh, you don't want to put your hand. Holy shit! Because then it compresses and it liquefies his hand, and it sprays blood all over his face. And then, these guys are right. That I'm like, did Jon Voight lose his hand? Like, for real?
Because it's not a close up. It is a wide shot of the two train cars and the connector, and I've spent a lot of time.
You've got ground moving underneath him, and like there's shots where they've got stuff going. I go, nuts. Well, that's not rear projection. I genuinely, that's a lot of in this movie where I'm like, how did they do that? Is a question that I asked about 15 times.
But then there's also shots where you can tell the snow is very fake. Like, it's like sporadic.
Still a Canon film.
That's what I'm saying. Like you get these really magnificent, like practical shots coupled with these really shoddily put
There was only 2 or 3 shots where I go, that's a model. Like there was a caboose hit and stuff like that. It's only 2 or 3 shots. But that's another thing that I was like, wow, this movie is, and this is, by the way, of all 3 movies that we're talking about, this is the only one shot in Alaska. And like they are out there in Alaska. Yeah. The other 2 are shot in Canada, and they're shot like movies. And this one, I was like,
I was going to say a lot of movies set in Alaska are shot in Canada.
Why
we'll get into it the also rans, but
but why wouldn't they be? Because Canada it's right there. It's easy. You've got mountains.
No trains.
You got mountains 20 minutes from Vancouver or whatever. It's very easy to shoot a movie in that regard. And Alaska, not so much. But no, they shot a lot of this movie. There was, I think, Montana was another bit they were doing, which is like, you can get middle of nowhere, but they shot it on this actual Alaskan train line. And I'm like,
how many trains did they have to derail? Do you think?
Well, that's the thing is because they never derailed the train. That's
you never see it.
You talk about you don't exactly. You don't see it.
It
that final shot has been burned into my head.
We're gonna
And
have
then
to
I'm
change
also-
the dodgeball ending to the Runaway Train ending, where
You're
it just
100%
goes
right.
black and drops
It
the
just
Shakespeare
doesn't
quote.
end. Yeah, just Shakespeare quote.
Because also, guys, like, this is a question I have for you. Is like, so that last shot, you've got a guy on top, he's leaning into the wind, right?
No cables. That guy's
That's
just
exactly,
yeah.
because this is 1985. You're not painting out fucking cables, right? I was like, guys, it was, because to me,
yeah.
is he doing that for real?
Well,
Did
you
he
know
have
what
his
the trick-
feet attached? I mean,
No,
but that
no.
looked real to me,
You
right?
know what the trick is? You just lean forward a little bit.
Yeah, all right. You just Michael Jackson that shit. You just
Yeah.
moonwalker that shit, right? Because no, but seriously, guys, was anyone else like?
That was really fucking impressive. Because
That's
even
what
if
I'm
that
saying.
train is going like moderately slow, that is still
It's
a
still
very dangerous stunt.
dangerous as
Right.
hell. I can't believe it. I'm going to talk about this movie for the rest of my life. I'm going to recommend this movie to people that love movies. It's not a good movie, and it's also not a bad movie. It's a movie. How do we classify this, guys? Because it's like, I don't believe it should have been nominated.
We'll have to like create a new category with these. Like we always bring up the Wraith, but even the fucking shitty one with not Next of Kin though, that's up there. The one where the businessman from New York has to hide out and hiding out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. You know, the one where he has
What's
to
it
hide
called?
out. What is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I don't know. Guy roller skates, not a big
That
deal.
movie where that guy Ferris Bueller has a day off. What's that fucking movie called?
Yeah, what is it?
Speed 2, Cruise Control.
Yeah.
That robot gets a short
But
circuit.
those movies, they're like so bad. And I don't know if it's a product of having to watch it for a podcast like this. But some of those are like the best movies I've ever seen because it's like these cherished moments. It's fucking nuts, and this is right up there with them.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
movie, it's got like, 'cause, again, Tildy turns and goes, "Does this movie have good reviews?" And I go, "Yeah, like
Yeah,
83%."
people love this movie.
It's got nominated for the Academy Awards: Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Editing, Cannes Film Director. It got the Palm. No, sorry, it got nominated for the Palme d'Or.
You almost just.
I was about to die.
Yeah,
It-
my soul almost left my body there.
John
My God.
Voight did win Best Actor for the Golden Globes.
For this,
Oh man, I cannot believe they only got nominated for the best vehicular stunt for the Stuntman Awards at the time. which
Wow.
it won.
It did win Best Piss Swirly Award at the MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah. Yes, there was a very aggressive swirly in this movie, and Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars. So this movie is
Wow.
like, and the thing is, because I'm not wrong, guys, the acting bad. Like in times you're just like, why the accent's bad. Like,
The accents are terrible.
this movie made me question. I'm like, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, am
am
I broken?
I the problem?
Pleased to announce, yes.
Well, I mean, especially, like we said, this came out in 1972, right? So at that time,
before movies were invented.
Before trains even existed.
right. So at that time, this is just, I think it's not that everybody's acting bad, it's that everybody's acting so big.
Yeah.
There's no
There's no
subtlety.
nuance. No nuance.
Yeah. But just everything about it, like I said, it's bonkers, but not bonkers in the way you're thinking.
Exactly.
And I think
exactly.
that just hit people in the right way.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's no flipping like cars and there's no big explosions. It's just like there's a bit where, again, like
It's no hard ticket to Alaska.
it's, but it also is. Like it's the bit where John Voight.
Is there a snake on that train?
The scene where they go into the sewer topless to do their thinking.
Yeah, to do their thing for 90 seconds. But it's
Yeah.
the bit where the helicopter rocks up and he sees that it's the
warden.
The warden.
And he's just like, oh,
Yeah, and he goes, "Yeah, come on, me sucker!" And
He says sucker a lot.
so many
Yeah.
times. It's like he's been watching the A-Team too much, and he's like, but he literally goes, and he's flipping him off, and I'm like,
From the fucking train.
yes,
Like,
but
that's
this movie got
Yeah.
nominated for an Oscar, and I'm like, guys, you're just taking one take of John Voight like riffing. Like, if you told me that they were improvising half the lines in this movie, I would believe you. Like,
They probably were.
how
Like,
much
better for it.
drugs
Yes.
You know, like just the world was like in 1985 what was happening. Because guys, I'm sorry, but you know, Star Wars and Empire that Strikes Back, and there, you know, we've had Indiana Jones movies and stuff, and this movie comes out and they go, guys, Oscars. I'm like, no, I'm with Will. This movie is an Oscar-winning 1971 movie, not
Right.
not 1985.
I
I mean, 1985. This is the same year, to put it in perspective, of Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. So, you know, that's
was that also a canon movie?
Bruce Leroy,
of
baby.
course, yeah.
Actually, let's
Also
do it.
nominated for Best Picture.
I'm doing top movies of 1985. I need to see what the world believed was a better movie. Oh my god, guys, it's already bad. Okay, here we go. Okay, number one, Back to the Future. This
What?
is the
I've never heard of it.
Never heard of
Is it a-
same year, Back
No
to the
Trains.
Future. We got Rambo 2, Rocky 4, The Color Purple, Out of Africa, Cocoon, Jewel of the Nile, Witness, been on the show, Goonies, been on the show, and Spies Like Us are the top 10. Now, I will admit, that's not like 1999. We've had some amazing movies.
Did you say it was 84?
85?
Oh, 85.
And so this
I'm looking at the
movie,
Oscars.
yeah, go to the 85 Oscars, because this is because 84 was E.T. and Close Encounters. We've had Close Encounters on the show, but like, yeah. So Back
Is
to
that
the Future,
Out of Africa? For
yeah,
Best
Out of
Picture?
Africa was that was the number 5 highest. That's probably Best Picture. You're right. Now I think.
I think
Yeah,
so.
he was up against William Hurt in Kiss of the Spider Woman, Harrison Ford in Witness, James Garner in Murphy's Romance, Jack Nicholson in Prizzi's Honor, and John Voight for Runaway Train.
Okay, so he had no
Holy
chance of winning that year, but you know,
Actor
Holy
supporting role,
shit.
Donna Mesh in Cocoon, Klaus Maria,
Yeah, Best Supporting Actor
Brandauer.
was Don Amici for Cocoon, if I remember correctly.
Don Amici, excuse me, yes. William Hickey in Prizzi's Honor, Robert Loggia in Jagged Edge, Eric Roberts, Runaway Train.
Son of a bitch. Did the whole world take peyote? You know, and like what I
Yeah.
don't know where this came from, man, because it is confounding. But all that being said, I'm looking right down the camera right now to, like, if you're watching this on YouTube, watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, it was known for best editing.
How? It just
same year as Rocky 4. I mean, come on, that's the best edit.
Yeah, exactly.
Of
There
all
was
time.
not enough exercising in the snow. All right, look,
Yeah.
guys, I could genuinely talk about this movie for another 4 hours, but it's time to actually do what we do on this podcast, which is ignore the other two movies on this and just immediately crown this one fucking champion, because this movie was amazing. Because, yes, it's about finding what is the best movie to represent Alaska. Now, like we talked about last time, we got Chris Nolan's what's the name of Chris Nolan's movie? Insomnia.
Runaway Train. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Which was a fantastic movie and
Yeah.
beautifully shot, and really does get into that idea of, you know, we were talking about, like, you know, living in this
It
sort of,
captures that isolated feeling.
Right.
You know?
You know, then Mystery Alaska, in this case, gets that small town kind of isolated idea of just bonding people together. And then then Runaway Train is the fever dream. It's the line of cocaine with the peyote, with a side order of adrenaline and LSD,
And a dash
Um,
of Shakespeare.
and
But
a dash of Shakespeare.
I'm inclined to, I hate that I'm going to say this. I'm inclined to go with Mystery Alaska. Just
Go fuck
because
yourself.
it feels like, hang on. I don't like, because the Runaway Train, like the Alaska of it is so secondary to the train. Like that train could have been in Siberia. It could have been fucking anywhere.
No, it should have been in Siberia. It's
Yeah.
a movie
Right.
set in Siberia, directed by a Soviet director. And you know what? In for all of my love for the rules and movies and everything about this podcast, fuck you. It's
All right,
got to
okay,
be
okay.
Runaway Train. It's a
You heard it here first. We're breaking fucking rules.
Well, like,
One
look,
thing we
look.
promise never to do.
give me honestly.
We've never done it before.
Because you're not wrong. Because I was watching it going, all right, I think Mr. Alaska is definitely getting Alaska better than Insomnia does.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
at least it's giving us this idea, and it's showing us these people and the thing. It's bringing you together in the isolation and everything else. And now, granted, something that all of these movies are doing in a way. Honestly, I think Insomnia is not doing it, but the other ones are. Is the idea of is that when we think Alaska, we think, okay, winter, but there is also summer, and that's something that they even refer to in Mystery Alaska. As, oh, well, in the summer, it's not all, you can just be walking around. It's no problem.
Right.
But I think part of the thing that is Alaska is that idea of you have to want to survive if you're going to live out there. And it's an element that exists about Texas as well, which you've got to be up for Texas. But if you're going to live in Alaska, it's like, no. You have to survive 6 months. You have to go and chop down trees, and you have to go and hunt animals. And if you're the kind of person, you're definitely living in Alaska because you're running away from the multiple murders that you did in the lower 48. But it's like, but Mystery Alaska, for me, I agree with you, Ryan. But what I don't agree with is just that it's too
small. Yeah.
No, it's too TV. It's too convenient. Yeah. It's too wrapped up in it.
It's like what Alaska would want you to think of their town. Like,
right.
Come visit, come play hockey.
So if you're gonna,
we have Colmini. It's great.
Yeah. So if you're gonna go with that, I would actually say that if we're going with the Alaska of it all, like as in the idea of like what it's like to live there, I would say that Insomnia beats Mystery Alaska. It does, because it's doing is it felt more real instead of it being
it's unforgiving. It's not
but remember that it's like, it's the idea of that it's just the everyday, and you had the people going to school, and you had the people that were like the logging area, and you had the people not getting sleep, and it was just a little bit more of the day to day. Whereas Mystery Alaska is the Disney.
Well, of course, it was the day to day. It was daytime the whole movie.
So it's day. There's no
18 Ys after that.
Yeah. But I guess what I want to say is that there was, like I said, it was about halfway through the movie where I started thinking about this. Is that when it comes to Runaway Train, it gets the bleakness and just the isolation. And almost just the facing down of it all. And I know I'm fighting this in the corner. You guys, please go with me. But I'm saying if you're going from Ryan's argument, then no, Insomnia wins. If you're going with that, Insomnia wins, because the Disney of it all, the bullshit of it all, of Mystery Alaska, Insomnia wins. But Runaway Train, bleak. It's you against it.
The elements,
yeah, and that's what I feel.
It's the runaway train that's inside of us all.
it's the runaway train we made along the way. But like, okay, I'm going to stop taking over this conversation. Will, I'm throwing this to you, and please, like, just tell me I'm full of shit. Please do.
I mean, Runaway Train was actually filmed in Alaska.
All right. Yes.
You threw that out. Yeah, this is real tough. I would say, probably Mystery Alaska is probably out. Based on, like, I kind of agree with your argument. It does get the Cole Meany bump, which is a plus 20 points for me. But it's tough because we're doing that set in versus shot in now.
Mm-hmm.
And God, it's tough. Both are kind of crazy situations, Insomnia and Runaway Train. So it's like, how grounded are either one of them? I'm gonna go with Runaway Train. I'm gonna go Runaway Train.
I swear, if this movie wins the whole fucking thing,
it might
murder both of you.
I mean, hey, the United States is basically Russia now anyway, so we might as well just start it early and just crown it already. Why not?
So I'm just throwing. So Ryan, no, seriously, give me something. It's happened so many times on this podcast.
I mean, I can be swayed in any direction.
I'm picturing myself like as a person in Alaska. Like, what movie would I want? I'm like projecting. Like, what would I want to represent the state that I live in?
Mm-hmm.
And the bleakness and the cold harshness of it is like a detractor for me. Whereas I love that small town camaraderie and aspect, even though it's a fictitious place. That kind of idyllic side of it is what gets me. And I'm like, chances are people in Alaska have seen Mystery Alaska, whereas I doubt anyone would consider Runaway Train like an Alaska movie.
We were probably the first people to watch it in 41 years.
Since the Academy Awards snubbed it so brutally. Yeah. And gave it to Witness? Who's seen that? Oh, shit.
Come on. Wait. Yeah. I could be swayed in any direction. I think Runaway
I want to
Train.
give it to Runaway Train just to see how far this fucker goes. Much like the titular train.
Yeah.
I want to stand on the top of this movie and I want to ride it all the way to the end of this season and then end it with a Shakespeare quote.
I
No, because no, hang on. Because okay, right, Will, I'm going to pick this up because Ryan, you're going with Mystery Alaska over Insomnia. Because even I'm going to say, because if you want to not take Runaway Train, fine.
I think we're in a
Insomnia-
society now where the bleakness is too.
Yeah, but I'm
real.
not saying the Insomnia is the bleakness that wins. I'm saying Insomnia feels like what it actually feels like to live in Alaska, and Mystery Alaska feels like if you put the Mighty Ducks with the F word in. It's just nothing about Mystery Alaska actually felt real.
Yeah,
even though it felt like a
it
small
felt like a
town.
Disney ride.
Yes, it felt like I was saying is Hollywood, Doc Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would say Doc Hollywood actually felt quite real because that's what small towns are. But the Mystery Alaska of it all was just kind of like everybody gets on and everyone's on the same sort of side. Whereas if you get into Insomnia, people just have jobs and people
It's too
exist.
unrealistic, right? Like,
Yes, it's a bit too.
Whereas Runaway Train.
No,
maybe a documentary.
you are completely right. So I'm going to say, look, I'm going to push Mystery Alaska
All
off to
right,
the side.
all right, fine.
But Insomnia is great and fantastic and beautifully shot, and it does get into that desolate, and you have to have an idea. But just like, and Runaway Train for me is like, what a fucking insane ride. Like, so I'm happy. I'm gonna be happy if we stick with Insomnia, but like. Runaway Train, I think for me, what it is just it's a movie that's like got so under my skin that I'm like almost compelled.
I think you guys are right. I think The Proposal is definitely our winner for this week.
Only there was a way to combine the two.
So I'm honestly I'm happy to keep it as Insomnia.
I have to admit, like, this is the first film in the Runaway series that I've actually enjoyed, considering like Runaway Cherry, Runaway Bride.
John Voight has the same accent in all three.
Sucker.
I have to go now. Like, honestly, the only thing I want to do now is go back and watch Anaconda. To be like, what the Because I remember seeing Anaconda here. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? It's like this weird Cajun amalgam of
it's
who the fuck knows.
Cajun South American kind of like combo that he had going
White.
on. It was actually quite a good time as well. Again, watching with Tills, and I go, Tills, do you know Angelina Jolie? She goes, yeah. I go, that's her dad. And I go, do you know Julie Roberts? She goes, oh yeah. I go, that's her brother. You know, and so I was like, that's how I was explaining Runaway Train to my German exchange student. But all right, okay, you know what? I'm putting it to a vote. Let's go democracy, seeing as it's dying slowly in this country. Okay.
The last vote in history. Here we go.
What, Chrissy?
I'm going full
Republic.
fuck it. I'm going Runaway Train. I'm going Runaway Train because you know what? It was shot in Alaska. They threw it out there. I bet that movie was hard to make. And you know what? Someone died making this movie.
Okay.
Runaway Train. That's my vote. Ryan, give me your vote.
Tell me about The Proposal again. No, I agree with your arguments.
You can vote whichever way you want.
Don't you put words in my mouth, you son of a bitch.
Sucker, you need shoes.
Don't. You know how much I hate sucker. My dad used to call me that. I even forgot what we're doing. How many hours has it been? 7?
Do you want?
Listen. I give it the points for being shot in Alaska. I mean, you get the opening.
They don't shot in. It was shot in, also Montana, but
allegedly.
I mean, I was gonna say leading in because you get that opening because it opens with the prison where it says Alaska State.
Yeah, and there's no roads going to the prison and no
electricity. No, it is straight like cold
in
Russia,
a valley.
Like,
Siberia.
Trees, snow. It's crazy. So, I mean, I can only imagine how much of it was actually filmed in Alaska, how difficult that must have been. I mean,
you don't have to. You can.
I know. I'm really weighing the options here.
Go with Mystery Alaska. It's fine.
No. I'll submit, and I will go with Runaway Turn. Tron. Runaway Tron.
Runaway Tron. Yeah, starring Jared J. Leto coming out next year.
Will, what are you doing, buddy? You on board?
Yeah, Mystery Alaska. Let's do it. No, let's go Runaway Train.
Let's
I think
do it. Come
let's
on.
do it. Let's stand on top of that train car and let's ride into
Let's
oblivion.
ride it all the way to the season 2.
You've made it impossible to top. I'm just letting you know. You're setting us up for failure.
I just honestly, I feel like we need to be the forefront of the renaissance of making people watch this movie, because
Do we though?
we absolutely do, because this movie is bad, good, terrible, confounding, and in every way mind.
It's an emotional roller coaster. Yeah,
in every single way. So, ladies and gentlemen,
it's crazy how different the opposite ends of the spectrum were. Whereas, like, Mystery Alaska was more or less nothing compared to
wet fart,
the amount of movie this was.
Yeah.
It was full on. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely thrilled to say that the movie,
You don't say.
the United States of a Movie podcast that we crown
You
champion,
don't fucking say.
the movie to represent Alaska for the rest of time, and I'm not even going to quantify it, just for the rest of time, is Runaway Train from 1985, directed by, we haven't even named him yet, Andrei Konchalovsky, written by, Akira Kurosawa, starring John Voight, Eric Roberts, Rebecca De Mornay. You know what? You're going to have to watch it to truly understand, but yes, I'm so happy. This is one of those great movies that this podcast is about discovering. But that being said, very quickly, before we get to where we're going next month, what were some of the movies we were also thinking of? One I really wanted to do was The Grey. I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
You've only seen the Key and Peele sketch where they talk about Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, that's the best. Liam Neeson and the Wolves.
And I know this. I'm pretty sure you guys had another movie you wanted to watch.
I was gonna pick 30 Days of Night, but that is like another like very Canada film. Oh no, The Edge was another one too.
The Edge, that's the one.
That's what you brought.
guys have been both talking about The Edge.
We've both been edging this whole time,
and we have not found completion yet. So maybe we can find that one
There's
next
another.
time.
I fucking loved Hold the Dark. It was on Netflix with Jeffrey Wright.
I don't know that one at all.
Yeah, that was
never heard of that one.
It's like Heat in the Snow. It's really
there's Into the what?
It's cold.
Heat in the Snow. Exactly, it's just called Melt. There's Into the Wild and The Call of the Wild. They're both there. But no, I'd really like to watch The Edge. Actually, I've sucked at that movie my whole life and never seen it.
Oh, you've never seen The Edge?
Never seen The Edge, and I'm like, I love Alec Baldwin, I love Anthony Hopkins, and that's like that. I'm very interested in that.
That would be the third movie we've done starring Bart the Bear.
Oh yeah. And I've never seen 30 Days of Night either, and I'm a big no, never seen. I'm a big fan of Josh Hartnett, especially like now that he's come back. I'm so happy. I just watched Trap the other day, which is a really, really good bad movie.
Until they get out of the concert, I'm like, oh,
right,
yeah. But Josh Hartnett is having such a good time in that movie.
He's so great in it as Cooper Trap.
That's his name. He absolutely elevates that movie and just keeps it riding, because like M. Night Shyamalan definitely, he kind of loses his focus a little bit. And then some of the acting in that movie is definitely questionable. And the fact his daughter is a very, very talented musician, though. I'll give her that credit. But
but she acts in the movie.
Yes, that's a different thing.
Air quotes.
But Josh Hartnett in that movie is great. So no, I mean, we've got, like I said, we're talking about The Edge. I think next time 30 Days of Night would be really good. Into the Wild, I've been
Canada.
I've been tempted by classic White Fang.
Guys, once Canada becomes the 51st state, we are fucked.
Oh no. And Greenland as well. So
shit. We'll just watch Greenland.
Yeah.
They only have the one movie.
Greenland and Canada, if you're listening, we are very, very sorry.
And we can't wait for you to join the show in season 3. But next
Against your will.
Next week we are going to, is it Wyoming?
Yeah.
Are we right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an interesting one, actually. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. So we had three movies on the line. And what got really interesting for both Will and I is that Will and I have seen all three of them, and Ryan has not seen any of them.
I've never seen any movie ever.
Yeah.
I might just have to throw you guys a curveball because I just remembered something about one of the movies.
Okay.
I don't know if we can do it. Um,
Okay, throw that out there. Let's talk about it.
Curve away.
We were one of the movies was going to be Butch Cassidy, but it just now dawned on me. Oh yeah, half the movie is in Belize.
Well, yeah, sure.
So
It does end up in Belize. Yes.
do we still want to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
We're doing
All right.
it. You know why? Because it's going to be a really good companion. These are two movies
Sure.
that are classics that Ryan has never seen. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which I've only seen, I think, once or twice. And it has some stunningly, it's really interesting. And it's also the second movie in 3 weeks that has a Burt Bacharach song. It's not the blob, the blob, the blob. It starts off with
Unfortunately,
The first Robot Redford movie we've done.
But the other movie we're going to do is an Oscar winner as well. A movie that I adore. I think really nicely timed because the passing of Gene Hackman, legend that he is also in this movie. But we're going to do the Clint Eastwood in every way movie, directed and starring Unforgiven, which is a banger. I really, honestly, Ryan, can't wait for you to watch this movie.
Just shit all over it.
No, yeah, I swear to God, if you can shit all over this movie, I'll be so proud of you because I don't know how. But it's an absolute banger. So ladies and gents, next week we're going to be heading to the state of Wyoming. If you want to watch Unforgiven, we have checked on our non-sponsor. Just watch. One day they'll hear about us. You can find that on Paramount Plus, like every single other cowboy thing in the world. Actually, if you're talking Taylor Sheridan, Butch Cassidy though, not sure you're going to be able to find that. That is on the History Vault. So if you have the History Channel, otherwise otherwise you're gonna have to find it on Blu-ray, DVD, or somebody's Plex server. Outside of that, though, ladies and gentlemen, this was a really good week.
I'm shocked.
I didn't expect Runaway Train. I was expecting to be the most disposable movie of my life, maybe of the season.
right.
It's rewired your brain. You won't look
completely
at trains or John Voight the same way ever again.
I'm going to need a Ryan movie poster or TV designed about Runaway Train. I'm going to need you to run a train on that design, Ryan. Unfortunately, if you want to find any of Ryan's designs, you can find them as Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital. He's got some fantastic designs. You can find me as the Englishman in Texas everywhere except for Facebook, where you can find me as Ollie Pettigrew. You can find Will as Entitled Willennial, especially on TikTok, where he loves to talk movies. And of course, if you are already listening to us, please rate us and recommend us to your friends that love movies. People like us, you just like to watch movies and talk about movies, recommend us. We're just one of those podcasts. It's fun. Listen to us while you're driving or you're on the treadmill. If you're watching us on YouTube, we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much as well. Do us a favor. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop us a comment. Recommend us to a friend as well. But outside of that, everybody, stop what you're doing. Go watch Runaway Train and send us messages because, boy...
Chugga, 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 chugga.
Thank you very much for watching this episode of the United States of a Movie Podcast.